Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Niagara this morning. Just as Dave's walked off, so he's barred from the program. It's all for me today, this morning. I'm going to speak the whole time.
I'm back.
Oh, damn. Damn, I didn't shut him off.
The poltergeist is back.
Welcome, Dave. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mike. I'm not going to shut him off. I really am not. So, Poilievre got re-elected.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank Mike for continuing to communicate with us. He's communicated to us what the regional council has been talking about lately.
I missed that. So
about wastewater, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, Poilievre won, and he won by nearly 80%, which he had to do. If he won by less,
he got 40,000 votes. Bonnie Critchley came second with 5,000 votes. There you go. Right, and for those who like this, this is 285 out of 286 polling stations have reported. So that's 99.65% of the vote is already in. Voter turnout was 50,000 out of 85,000, so 58.82%. Mike, there you go. Population of this riding is 110,000, with 85,700 electors on the list.
The reason why they used this particular riding because it's been a secure conservative riding for many, many years. The real test, however, was whether or not they knew Poilievre was going to win.
Yeah.
But by how much? And that was very important, because if he did not hit that over 75% threshold, there would be questions about his leadership going forward. That no longer exists. He got 79 to 80% of the vote.
No, he got 80.4% of the vote.
80.4. Okay, so it's been updated since I read it.
Yeah.
So 80.4. That's exactly what you need, because that was what the some of the earlier candidates at different times had got 80% in that. Now he has a clear mandate to go ahead. If he got something less than that would follow his leadership attempts or leadership review when the Conservatives review their leadership.
He
looks strong there.
Yeah, he will face a leadership review next January anyway. Right?
Yes.
Let's be clear about that. That is going to happen. He would have been out had he lost this one, but a leadership review in the Conservative Party, according to my contacts, will happen next January. It's a certainty.
Well, if he got less than 75% of the vote there would be that would not look good on his leadership review.
No.
So he has performed well there. He got what he needed to do. Now, what will Poilievre be like when he gets back into the Parliament? He could stick it to Trudeau day in, day out, and the Liberals of that era, because of they just were not performing very well.
Yeah.
But now you have somebody very different across the aisle. You have.
I think actually you'll have some pretty good. I think the debate time. What's it? I think the debates are going to be more lively. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes, but I don't think he's going to be able. He's not going to be able to get away with his stick that he used on Trudeau.
No, he's going to have to be more precise, more focused upon issues. But again, question time has been led by Andrew Scheer. Now he will be back in controlling question time, and that will mean that the Conservatives will be in a position to put up a hard fight against the Liberals if they wish to.
Yes, we're in a time where populism got him nearly voted in because the Trudeau Liberals were so unpopular that his populism approach, his insults and his digs and all that made quite a bit of advances against the Liberals. The Conservatives did really well in the last election, despite the fact they lost. So they are a threat to the Liberals going forward. But Poilievre is going to have to change his take.
Yeah,
he cannot just go out there and slam. He can slam Trudeau all day long, but no matter what he says against Carney has the chops. Carney's been there, done that. And with Trudeau, he was kind of like a celebrity leader and idealistically bound. And Trudeau's popularity of his status was waning very, very quickly, and his substance was up for question continually.
Yeah,
not this
absolutely.
time.
Yeah,
this is the Bank of England governor, the Bank of Canada governor, successful businessman, leader in the UN, and connections with business and environmental people all over the world. So Poilievre's stick cannot work against Carney. In fact, he'll look foolish. He has to find that area, and Canadians are expecting him to cooperate with Carney and the provinces to get something done. The divisive politics of petty politics that worked so well for Trump down south of the border is not going to work here.
Yeah,
he's going to have to cooperate when things are needful of cooperation, and he's going to have to be very careful. He's going to have to be a serious leader who sees that cooperation with the government is essential on certain things, particularly since we're an existential threat in our trade negotiations with the U.S. So we will see what kind of leader comes out of this. The opposition leader against Trudeau is going to be it will not work here. It will not work here.
Okay, so couple of things on the election. Bonnie Critchley, an independent, came second of 5,000 votes. She did very well. She did very well considering. And I note that the Marijuana Party, Kenneth Kirk from the Marijuana Party got 41 votes. There you go.
Well represented. So the stoners of Alberta are represented by 41%.
41 votes, yeah.
41 votes for you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I love to see these small parties stand, but I also don't like the fact that that it was such a long list, and that was a lot of the complaints was why the long ballot.
Well, that's in protest. That's an effort in protest to the first past the post type of democratic system we have. So that's why that was done. It's kind of like a protest, but it bogs down the electoral process. So what they did was they eliminated the long list, I think, and allowed them to write in.
I think you must have had the list somewhere available at the polling station, because otherwise, how would you know? How would you know to vote for Sam Nabby, independent candidate, or?
Well, what they did was they allowed a write-in.
Yeah.
According to the article, they allowed a write-in rather than hand the voter a ballot with hundreds of dozens of names on it. That was confusing. So the government said,
but what I'm saying is,
instead of that, write in the one you want if it isn't among the major parties.
Yeah, but how would you know to vote for Adam Smith, for example, or
you'd have to come in there like most voters do, with the idea that you're going to vote for who you're going to vote for.
Yeah.
So most voters, when they go into the ballot, they know who they're going to vote for.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you put 24 people, or dozens of people there, and they're in alphabetical order or something like that, you've got to shift through this long ballot. It slows down the electoral process, and not only that, it confuses the voter. Yeah, it confuses the voter. So the way I read it was they allowed a write-in. So if you have an alternate candidate other than the main five or six parties, basically, then you could write it in.
Well, so actually, but the confusing part about some of this is that I had a quick look through the ballot, and I found bloody thing! It just popped on me. I found like two people of the same name. There was a Fitzgerald and a Fitzgerald, for example.
Well, that's how.
And it was like a man and a woman, that type of thing. I can't find it now. I can't find it now, but there was one.
Yeah, I say a record 214 names were on the ballot, most of whom were part of a protest movement called Longest Ballot Committee, which is pushing for electoral reform to replace the first past the post system. As a result, the number of people running, Elections Canada said voters must write the name of the preferred candidate on a modified blank ballot.
Yeah.
So Poilievre was up against a few local challengers, basically, and that's all.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. They actually did not eliminate the list. They just gave a ballot where you have to write it in.
Yeah.
A very, very unique approach. That's how they did that. Now, I do appreciate the fact that our democratic system is not as democratic as it should be, and the first past the post is outdated, huge in the electoral process.
Personally, I don't think proportional representation changes anything anyway.
Well, that's your personal opinion, but basically what these people are saying is that it is a flawed system. I mean, that's why you get a government. You get a government that gets 40% of the votes, and they run the country. 60%.
Yeah, and it's the same with PR. You get a government that runs that gets 40% of the vote with PR, and it runs the country. It's no different.
Yes, well, though that's the whole point here. That the first past the point is long overdue to be adjusted. Now, we've had a couple of attempts in Ontario. McGuinty had promised changing the voting system, but once it was very clear that if they did, they wouldn't get as many votes, they made sure that failed.
That's the same
way. Trudeau too promised reviews of the electoral system, but once they got in and realized that if they made the changes they wanted to, they would lose the election if it was close. As a matter of fact, the last election that Trudeau won, he would have lost if the electoral reforms had come in. Yeah. So when the party finally gets in and they see that the electoral reforms may be damaging to them, they suddenly forget about them. Well, this is the longest ballot thing here is a means by which protest that you're going to have to get around to the fact that our electoral system is not nearly as democratic as it should be.
And we need to change our entire electoral system, not move over to proportional representation. PR doesn't do it either. Right. In another 40 years, you'll have people in PR saying 40% still gets you elected. That's true. And the trouble with what you don't get with PR is the exceptional independent candidate who stands out from the crowd.
Yes. So now you're going to have now this will change the complexion of democracy. I don't think you're going to get anything nearly that in the United States because they rely on the two-party system in a big way, and neither party is going to want to change that down there because the power they have. They have a much less democratic system than we do.
Yeah,
because they only have two parties basically, and they have independents. They only have two parties, and those two parties hold incredible power in and out of government, whether they're the governing party or not.
Yeah, and okay, Mike just said Gerald Fitzpatrick and Patrick Fitzgerald. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, right. Poilievre elected. So what a waste of taxpayers' money. Stop the hypocrisy. Just give him the seat and save the taxpayers' money.
Yeah. So
we live in a democracy, Mike. So that wouldn't go down well with the local voters.
Peter B. Giblett, B. Peter Giblett, Giblett B. Peter, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anything else? Any other thoughts on this election?
No, except that populistic approach that Pierre Poilievre had used so successfully against Trudeau will look like kindergarten stuff. He's going to have to change his means. He's going to have to be much more progressive. It's not going to be. You see what Doug Ford is doing, right? Doug Ford is going. It's not a me against you thing, right? It's
a
we're smarter or you're smarter. It's up to the voter. You see what Ford did? Despite as many complaints you might have on him, when he won his election, he congratulated all the other parties. He congratulated all the other candidates. He congratulated everyone who won, no matter what party they came from, and made clear that the democratic process was all the different parties were essential to the democracy, whereas everywhere else it's us and they're wrong. We're right, they're wrong. We're good, they're evil. We have to eliminate them completely. And we see the results of that, the states right now, and all their petty politics and their petty little whinings and no cooperation. Partisan politics is almost nearly gone. Where we need partisan politics. We need partisan politics up here. We don't need partisan politics. We need cooperative. Now, if the Conservative Party has a better idea, they'll win the election, and if they can convey it. But seriously, you can't play that populist stuff up here. Look what kind of damage it's done in the States, and we were almost going that way. Now, Poilievre looked pretty good before that election until a real candidate came and faced him on the other side, a real grown-up. And finally, whether you like Carney or not, he's a grown-up in the room. Whether you like Ford or not, he's a grown-up in the room. Like they're addressing issues of national importance, and they're learning on the job.
Yeah,
like Ford tried to pull off the green space thing. Well, he got a drubbing for that, didn't he? And he learned his lesson. But
and he moved on, and he successfully navigated that. Absolutely.
I still don't trust him with the environment stuff, but he is.
Well, I think that with every politician, I think Ford's acting differently than many politicians, because he pushes an idea and then he finds it doesn't work. So he moves in a different direction, pushes a new idea, and that one works.
Well, that's how politics is supposed to work, really.
Yeah.
And he's not saying, Carney is the worst possible. He's a liberal. He's the worst possible person ever to represent Canada in the trade agreements going forward. Blah 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 blah. No, he's saying, how can we help? How can we help one another?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the best. And in respect of that, in respect of the trade, etc., that's the best way to deal with it. I hope we can get. Well, let's see what will happen with Carney. Okay, so before we move on, so Nancy is saying basically down in Cleveland, it's still very hot there. Don't expect it to go above 25 Celsius. I just looked the weather up here. Going to start raining this afternoon. So that's going to be mid-70s.
Yes. Yeah, so it's quite cool here right now, Nancy. Too bad you couldn't. I had my windows open all night long and a nice cool breeze coming in. No air. I haven't had the air conditioning on for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it.
Yeah. So she's the other side of Lake Erie for us.
Yeah, not that far away, really.
So but it's still far enough away to actually be hot, different weather pattern. Anyway, yeah. So enjoy your day, Nancy. For us, it's going to rain. That's what the current forecast is, anyway. Okay. So
if you want to cool down, take a trip to Niagara.
Moving on. Wayne Gates pushes for more healthcare and wastewater funding at the what's this called? Association of Municipalities in Ontario conference that's happening between the 17th to 20th. So it's already going on. It finishes tomorrow.
Yeah, this sort of belies the hoofra that Gates, because he's an NDP, he can't represent us and he doesn't represent us well and all that. No, that's not the case at all. Here he is at the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, bringing up the real problems with our community. And number one is wastewater. And we have updates from that regional response to that from Mike Cushman, which we'll probably get into a little bit tomorrow. But yeah, so and the healthcare, the decreased healthcare facilities of Port Colborne and Fort Erie. So he's brought these issues up. Now, number one, of course, is the wastewater. We have kicked the wastewater and water. We've kicked that can down the road so far that it is an urgent need now, because we're asking for more and more housing starts, and we can't do anything really about that because we cannot deal with the sewage and rainwater and things like that. And that's because the region and the city here have kicked that can so far down the road that we can't plan anymore. We have to be reactive. And that's Mike Cushman's words, that it's a reactive approach now. We have to get it done right now. We need it now, instead of planning for it properly in the past and then pushing that further down the road. Now we're into a situation where we're desperate and we're going to need the money now, right now. If we planned it properly in the past and anticipated let's put it bluntly, it has been anticipated. It has been warned about year after year, but the politicians keep kicking it down the road. Now they can't. We have new politicians now. You can't blame the ones that are here now, because the problem was pointed out 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we do have plans for new wastewater, but they can't get off the ground. And
we got the new wastewater. We got the new South Niagara wastewater treatment plant already underway, and that should be coming in the next few years, shouldn't it?
Yes, but it's been delayed. The construction of it's been slowed, and because it's a difficult problem and it'll take some effort to put fire under somebody's feet.
But right at the moment,
delay it all the time.
But Gates is basically saying, right at the moment, it's the first step we need to building more homes, and I would agree with him.
Well, it's obvious too, and Mike Cushman in his communique with us pointed out the same thing. How can you go ahead building more houses when you can't deal with the waste now?
Yeah,
and we've reported on this show many times about how old our facilities are. They're way over. They're being held together with duct tape and wire, and and sometimes they can't manage the waste and have to dump it down the canal. So what are you going to do? Like, why was this done? Now we can be angry, and I am a little annoyed that previous politicians have not taken that seriously enough and planned well enough. But we are, as those politicians are no longer with us. We've got new ones. So that's what true. Do we do now?
Well, and you've
got to be reactive, and we got to get money fast.
Yeah, This generation has got to take responsibility for making the change.
Yeah, the politicians that are sitting there now were dealt the cards they have. But I'm a little disappointed that this hasn't been brought up, but it is now being serious because the problem is so serious. So we need to get this thing done. We need to get it done quickly, unfortunately, reactively instead of well planned. And so Gates brings this up, and it has been brought up at the region, as Mike has pointed us out. Yeah. And of course, we know the work that Mike's done and all this. But look, I'm really frosted that there was no planning in this. This is always being kicked down the road. But I guess because it doesn't get votes, I'm the candidate that's going to take care of your poo. No, that doesn't really sell well, does it? So
yeah. Okay, so what Mike is saying here is that, did you see the regional government speaker on wastewater at the meeting? He was like a deer in the headlights.
No, I didn't see it. Mike sent the council meeting to us. Yeah. I only read what Mike had.
The other thing is, Joyce Morocco said the conditions at the Niagara Falls wastewater treatment plant, that's the current plant, are deplorable.
Yes, and we've reported that constantly here over the years.
Well, I think we're going to end up with two. We're going, the South Niagara one, the new one is, we'll need the old and the new, I think.
The new one's supposed to be super capacity, so we'll see about that.
We'll see.
And the old one is just getting already past its life.
I know it might well be, but I think that they'll end up probably renewing it. Recycling it, re-cleaning it up, and then renewing it. I think.
Probably not. Like they'll have to keep it going for a while until the other one's up and running.
I know.
But the new one is supposed to be able to take care of our needs for quite a while long. And any additions or complements to the sewer systems will have to be at that area rather than the old, unless they could dismantle the old one we have now and refurbish it completely. That's a possibility. But right now we need the new one. And the new one will be, at least should be, as being planned. I went to McBain Center to see what their plan was when they showed it to the residents some time ago. That'd be, I think, about 5 years ago by now.
That's got to be about 5 years ago. Yeah, I remember.
Maybe even longer.
Yeah, I remember.
And
pre-COVID. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty impressive about its capacity. It should be able to take on the capacity of the growing city for decades to come. It has the capacity built into its design, but they're pokey in getting it done. And there's for some reason they've been able to always shove it to the back burner and slow it down, but now you can't. And unfortunately, so anyway, it's an issue that Wayne Gates brought up. The other issue that Wayne Gates brought up was the healthcare systems that are being closed in Fort Erie and Port Colborne in their area. He feels that this will make it very, very difficult for those people in Fort Erie, Port Colborne, Ridgeway, and so on, because now they're going to have to drive all the way, if those facilities close down, just to get modest health care. They're going to have to drive all the way to Niagara Falls or St. Catharines and sit in the waiting room, an overcrowded waiting room that's still already way overcrowded. So he's bringing up a very solid point there. There's going to have to be some intermediary, like your major operations, oncology, and all of the treatments may have to happen in Niagara Falls and St. Catharines or the new Niagara Falls Hospital. But what about basic care? What about we don't have enough doctors? So where are you going to get your initial diagnosis? Basically, if you can't get a doctor, you're going to have to go to the hospital. and sit in emergencies. So, what if you got a health concern that's bothering you? One that's really not killing you, but you know that it's getting worse all the time. You got a belly ache or whatever it is, and you can't get rid of it. So now you got to get in your car, go all the way to St. Catharines or Niagara Falls, sit in a ER, a super busy ER, see a doctor who says, "Oh, you got a belly ache. Here's some, here's some antacid." Well, that happened to my niece right here in Niagara Falls, and they misdiagnosed appendicitis, for crying out loud, nearly killed her. So that's the consequences of not having good preliminary care.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, and in both of these issues, I have to dare say that Mr. Gates is right. We need more attention paid to them. I've never been a fan. Whilst Douglas Memorial is an ancient building and probably needs replacing, I've never been a fan of removing, healthcare, some of the basic healthcare from Port Erie. And the same, it's like when you think about it, to get to Niagara Falls or St. Catharines from Port Coburn, it's a 45-minute trip. And think about doing that doing that in a winter snowstorm.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to get to the point where, so the Douglas Memorial Urgent Care Center, that's one of them. And other facilities that are down there.
I forget the name of the one in Port Coburn, but
like I was just there with my mom. She was there at put there when she got sick in Niagara, and then had to go for evaluation. She had to go down there. But I mean, and the state of our healthcare system is terrible right now. It's lack of funding and so on and so forth. So it's good that he brought these things up. And the very idea that he can't represent us because he's an NDP guy, well, that is a fallacy, because we see it here right now. He's constantly bringing up these issues, bringing them up locally, bringing them up to the province, constantly and forever. The Fort Erie, the urgent care that is required in the southern part of the Niagara region there, and seriously, and the wastewater thing. So I don't know where they get this idea that Gates can't represent us because he's an NDP. He doesn't do it well enough. That's baloney. But
he has a particular pet things about these areas. I know he's always talking about. He's always bringing them up, and he's right to bring them up. But in some of the other areas, I have a pet peeve about him, but I'm not going to bring that up here.
Well, yeah, you have a pet peeve about any politician.
Absolutely, right. That's true. And
you probably have a pet peeve of yourself if you got elected. I have a pet peeve against myself.
Actually, I do. I would. I'd probably have a pet peeve for something that I voted against when I should have voted in favor of, or something like that,
Well, good thing we didn't elect you then.
All right. So Niagara Region wants to be used as a catalyst for the rest of Ontario for the hospital idea of one hospital for the region. There was only 200 people from Niagara Falls at the meeting of 5,000 at Fort Erie. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Anything else in relation to that?
No, I'm just I'm very disappointed. Of course, I'm sort of very confused and miffed that particularly our water treatment plants and wastewater are so old. They've been kicked down the road for so long.
Yeah.
And yet it is one of the most obvious things that you have to plan for the future.
Yeah.
And why that wasn't well done is bothersome to me, because the people who were elected before, the ones that are now, we're told that, we're put that there, that you're going to have to plan. And
yeah, but in all fairness, back 15 years ago, nobody expected the city to grow to 100,000 as quickly as it did.
Everybody knew that the wastewater was already over capacity, though.
True, but nobody.
And obviously, the city was going to grow, so they did not anticipate that. They didn't have the foresight, which bothers me. Why didn't the politicians have the foresight to do something that was obvious?
Yeah, they should have started the project 10 years beforehand, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it should have been started in 2015, and even then it would have been late.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Moving on. Talking about a 10 megawatt solar project in Thorold South End. Well, some people might say that might be the best thing for Thorold in a generation. No, I'm joking.
I think if you cover up Thorold with solar panels, it'd be a good thing. It's kind of a bit of an eyesore.
Nobody likes Thorold around here, do they?
While you're at it, you can do Welland too.
Well, actually, interesting thing is about that. I remember this idea one time somebody had, a science fiction writer had, whereby you covered the cities in domes, but the domes were domes from the inside. You could look out and it was nice and sunny out there, but on the outside they all had solar panels on them.
Yeah. Well, in this particular case, what do you do with a paper mill dump?
Yeah.
Right. This was the landfill for a paper mill. So the thing's going to be full of chemicals. You don't know what's going to be there. In order to clean it up, is a massive project. So you have this landfill that used to be a landfill for a paper mill. What do you do with it? You can't put houses on it and stuff like that, residential. So somebody's come up, well, let's use it for something. Let's make 10 megawatts of power with solar panels. Good idea.
I'm not saying you don't do this, but hey, I've got a much better place for putting solar panels.
In the desert.
No. Put them on car park. Cover our car parks. Make sure that we have actually covered car parks, and actually put them on the above all the cars in the malls. Put them in the cities. Put them in on rooftops in the cities.
And who's going to do that?
Everybody should. It should be mandated. We put them in the city on the rooftops.
Oh, Dictator Peter, get your solar panels now. Or you'll be sent to El Salvador. That's a really good idea. And as a matter of fact, in Europe and many other places, they put solar panels on the outside of the buildings. Rather than clad them with other cladding, they put solar panels on them, put solar panels on the roof. We see that solar panels are expanding everywhere. Problem with solar panels, they take a lot of space and they don't generate an enormous amount of power, but they do generate power. So in this particular case, we have a paper mill landfill site, not suitable for anything else. They're still going to have to cap it.
Oh, I'm not saying we shouldn't use it here. This is an ideal example of where we perhaps do need it, because you've got land underneath that is toxic, right?
Well, in order to clean it up, it would take an enormous amount of effort. You can't put houses in there. You're going to have to cap it anyway, even just to put the solar panels on. But you don't have to cap it in the way that would prevent residential area in there, or reused it as industrial land. But the fact is, you've got this stuff that's not easily used for anything else. So why not make some power with it? So that's what they're going to do. So they've contracted a company that will do that. Will put them up. Now this particular company, AES, is if I got that right, I got to bring it up.
It is.
It's already it does power generation and
Electra Energy Solutions.
Yeah, and a subsidiary of theirs is the thing that's going to build these. Now you're going to get 10 megawatts out of power, so at least you're using the landfill site to get some electrical power. That's good. Now we got a landfill site right there on Mountain Road, and it's a big hill of old landfill. We could do the same there. For one thing, it's right on the top of the escarpment, so you could put a windmill up there, a wind turbine up there for one thing, and then you could cap the rest of it with solar panels. So there's so we could probably follow in Thorold's lead there by using land that's unsuitable, our old landfill site right there at Mountain Road near the highway. We could do the same thing, except because it's where it is, right on the escarpment, it'd be ideal place for a wind generator. Plus, you could cap the rest of the land with solar panels. At least do something with it. Now, I kind of tip my hat. What are you going to do? They've got this vacant area. What are we going to do with it? So they decided to put solar panels. Good for them. And they've got.
Mike is saying we should basically be using these contaminated properties and mining these contaminated properties and reusing the chemicals on them. I agree. I tend to agree.
That's a possibility. The only thing is, these ideas are good. How do you make them practical though? First of all, you need money and then you need expertise combined with money. And and of course you have to make money if you're going to do that. So you're going to have to find a company to do that, to mine these areas. You're going to have to guarantee them some sort of financial reward to do it, because they're going to have to pay their workers. They're going to have to pay for the equipment. They're going to have to make a profit, and they're going to have to deal with their stockholders. So all this happens. It can happen, and quite often in this particular case, it's a combination of private industry and the city combining their efforts. The city of Thorold, and as I say, they want to cover up this landfill site. Well, we could cover up Thorold if we put a whole big solar panel over top of it. That's giving me an idea there.
Okay, so Mike's asking, is this a private electrical corporation making power with gas or incineration? It's not making power. It's making power through solar panels. And Electra is the people who provide the power for Hamilton, St. Catharines, and a few other places.
Yeah, they're already into that, including gas generators, natural gas. Now you think, well, that's a carbon fuel, but it's a lot less polluting than coal. So the province, when they closed down the coal burners we have here, they replaced them largely with gas generators. Although they told everybody that the wind turbines were going to be the big thing, it wasn't. It was the gas generators that picked up most of the lost power. So anyway, it's a subsidiary of Electra. AES is a subsidiary of Electra Utilities, and like you said, it includes solar, natural gas, and energy storage is the other thing it does.
Yeah.
So this is a good look forward.
Okay. And Mike makes the point that the longer you wait to clean up a property, the more it will cost down the road. Absolutely, and that's true. I agree with that.
Yeah, but if you're a counselor or a politician and you come up with this, then I don't know. If you can't get enough people behind you, it won't work. And that's why if we go back to the pollution that comes out of our sewage treatment plants, when there's overflow time and stuff like that, it does a huge amount of damage. And yet they didn't have the foresight to think that way 30 years ago. So
yeah,
I think education is the big thing here. Yeah, and Mike is contributing huge to the education of everybody, because he's making people aware of it.
I'm going to actually add something that's been occurring to me for a while. I would like to see the provincial government taking some responsibility for the contaminated lands across former industrial contaminated lands across the province, because we need to start cleaning them up. And it's going to be a long, slow process. But they need to take control of those lands and start cleaning them, in order that we can make them potentially viable for future use.
So do you want your provincial taxes to go up 20%?
Well, actually, I'm going to say to you what I say many of the time. We need our income tax, the federal taxes, reallocated so that the Ontario and the municipalities in Ontario get their fair share. Because we don't.
Well, right now the Ontario government's in huge deficit. The Canadian government's incredible deficit, and you're asking for more. I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
No, I'm asking that we get our fair share of reallocated back to us. We're not getting anywhere near fair share. We are.
What would that? How do you know we're not getting our fair share?
I know because I've been looking at the federal budgets on this. We don't get anywhere near
the reallocation of. Yeah. Now, are you going to trust your regional politicians or your municipal politicians to spend that effectively?
Well, that's
to me. It's a long. You can see.
That's a system of democracy that we have that puts in those checks and balances.
Well, I can't argue with you there, but the whole point is everybody wants more stuff, and it all costs money.
I know.
I want a new hospital. I want a new sewage. We need more solar. We need more of this. We need more of that. We need
and remember, Dave, we still have on the way that is going to be starting very shortly. Within the next couple of years, we're going to have the bridge twinning, the QEW Bridge Garden City Skyway Bridge twinning project that's going to be starting very shortly.
And how does this factor into the?
Well, it's a big spend going on in our region.
Well, that's good. That's jobs, man, and it makes transportation even more, even better. That means trade. That means jobs. That means trucks down the road. Although I hate trucks, but more trucks means more business, means more jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So, so that's really, really good. But yeah, so. Anyway, it's a matter of money. It's a matter of I think our biggest problem when we are now faced with these urgent matters that our governments have spent themselves into the hole time after time after time. They can't resist themselves because they can't go to the voter and say, you know what, we're going to spend less than normal so that we can keep within budget. They know the voter doesn't understand that. They're going to tell the voter, hey, guess what? You're going to get a concrete ping pong table. How about that? You're going to love it. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You're going to get a doggy park with dog. You know, you're going to have a doggy park with dog. We're going to spend money on dog acrobatics. You know, so when you walk your dog, things like that. So nobody's going to say no. You know, no more misting stations for you for the summertime. They're going to say we're going to get as many misting stations as you want. You know, so that's a real problem. I think, but educating the voter on budgetary constraints and essential ways in which to spend money, well, it may have an effect over time. But you're going to have to educate the voter.
Here's one system I would like to see put in place, by the way. We need to educate the political governments how to budget properly because they waste money all the time. They don't know how to run projects. And that's where a lot of our money gets wasted because we don't manage our projects effectively.
You could be saying that in 1850 it's the same thing.
I could.
That's never happens.
Yeah, no.
Government is always wasteful. Governments always are inefficient.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a guy whose child, I won't even say it was a son or daughter, works in the federal government. And he is, his biggest issue once he started working in the government, how many ineffective people there are in government and people who are hired there that can't do anything, mess things up constantly.
And
who everybody else who's working there wonders how they ever got hired in the first place. Now, he's not like he's brand new, but he's been noticing this for the whole, I don't know, 10 or so years he's been working in government, in the federal government. How many stupid people are his bosses?
Yeah. And you know, he also was probably noticed that with many such people, unless they happen to bomb the building and blow it up, they're not going to get fired, no matter how bad they are.
They might get the weekend off.
And they get the weekend off, yeah.
So they basically, so there's I know the person he's talking about, and they say that actually some people who are in charge of departments actually have destroyed equipment, ruin it, and then have to wait for their underlings to come along and fix it again. And all their underlings are wondering, why is that person in charge? They don't even know the system. How did they get this appointment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He says the federal government is full of that. Well, that's because they went around and hiring, people they knew or what. I don't know. I go on to that. But aside from that, I think that's a common complaint about governments everywhere, and we're stuck with it. So how do we make better use of it? I think it's educating the electorate. We as an electorate are vote in our representative because we don't have the time to look into these things and judge them. But we still have to be more educated on not only just the electoral system, but what the money is being spent on and stuff like that. We don't have time for it, but it's still essential for the electorate. An informed electorate makes a better choice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I don't know whether. Well, okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. So Russia pounds Ukraine, killing more people, and then they got a White House meeting.
I think Putin really made a mistake this time. He just had a meeting where he was treated extraordinarily well, given the circumstances that he was an aggressive dictator that has caused a great deal of pain and scorn, and has been scorned by everyone. And yet he gets the red carpet treatment. He gets praised. He gets flyovers. He gets all that in Alaska, and makes it look like he wants peace. And then he bombs the crap out of civilians in Ukraine, right at the same time that Zelensky and the European Union members or NATO members are meeting with Trump. I think this cements the fact that you can compliment Trump all day long, as Putin has done, and it may work for many years, which it has done. But I don't think the rest of I don't think it'll work forever. When Trump says he wants the war to stop, and then Putin keeps killing civilians, it's like snubbing him in the nose. Not even Trump can look past that, and now the White House is much more serious and much more informed of what was really going on there. The last time they have an Oval Office meeting was Zelensky. They humiliated them. They pushed him down. They tried to make him the weak man, and told him the ultimatums that he had to face, without doing anything against Putin. But now it's become very clear, even to the Oval Office, that Putin's been playing them.
Yeah.
in amongst the European leaders that have come over to talk to Trump, one that has had a lot of influence on him was Stubb from Finland, the Prime Minister of Finland, and he's told he's built a relationship with Trump and pretty much told him that you can't trust Putin. You just can't trust him. He's not a man of his word.
In a way, who better to know? Because hey, Finland has a lot of border skirmishes and has historically had a lot of border skirmishes with Russia.
They've had wars with Russia.
Yes.
1939, the Winter War, before the 1939 Winter War, before the Second World War, Finland had to fight an enormous war with the Soviet Union and lost territory because of it.
Well, massive border skirmishes going on almost every year in that area.
Well, Finland was independent and played the neutral player until Russia invaded Ukraine. Once Russia invaded Ukraine, Finland could see it was going to be an isolate here, even though it had a really good army. It's a very small country.
Yeah.
And so it decided, and Sweden too. Sweden was typically neutral. They could see the writing on the wall, right? We have to get in with NATO. So for some reason, Trump trusts the Finnish PM for advice on this, and he's pretty much told him that you can't trust Putin. I think that's finally getting in to his head. And right now, Russia is they're winning on the battlefield, and they're winning on the air and on the ground. So they have not a whole lot of incentives to stop this war unless there is enormous consequences. They're losing 1,000 men a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's an incredible amount, but Ukraine cannot sustain this because in a war of attrition, they have a lot less men. So unless Russia sees enormous economic consequences, unless they cannot no longer fund the war, they're not going to stop. So they're going to have to come up with a plan. And unfortunately, it looks like Ukraine's going to have to cede some territory because they can no longer conduct the war.
Well, and the other thing is that there's an upcoming US who is going to arrange a Russia-Ukraine summit.
That's supposed to be what's happening now. This meeting with Zelensky is much, much better than the last one. One of the reasons why is because NATO followed him along. And when Zelensky was sitting beside Trump, Stubb, the Finnish PM, who Trump appears to trust, was on Zelensky's sitting beside him, I think. So there's a lot of messaging going on here. And NATO finally got their act together. Really, seriously, Trump was right about the fact that NATO the U.S. will do it for us. Oh, the U.S. will supply them with arms. Oh, the U.S. will do this and that. Well, NATO was supplying more arms than the U.S., which was a lie by Trump. Trump said he was supplying the most. But the fact of the matter is NATO's woke up. They cannot lean on the United States for everything. And they woke up and they took some matters into their own hands. They finally have a collective resistance towards Russia.
Yeah, technically Trump may have been right because remember, NATO, US contributes to NATO, and if NATO therefore was contributing the majority, potentially it could have been still US stuff through NATO that was contributing.
No, what I was talking about was the U.S. supplied armaments to Ukraine, independent of NATO.
Yeah,
and the European nations contributed weaponry too. France, Germany, those about 60% of the armaments that went to Ukraine were from Europe.
Yeah,
which Trump said that they didn't contribute to anything. So they had to be corrected continuing on that, but he doesn't like corrections. So he just kept just gabbing it up the way he does. But now what he's done instead to make it sellable to the Republicans who are sick of wars. Well, everyone's sick of these wars that the U.S. is supplying. They're selling the armaments to the NATO countries who are therefore then donating them basically to the Ukrainian war effort. But that can't continue for much longer because Ukrainians only have so many men that can they lose.
Yeah.
The Russians got lots more. In a war of attrition, like I've said, the big guy wins because he can outlast the small guy.
Yeah. I know. All right. Anything further on Ukraine right now?
Well, it's kind of like the economic war that the United States has launched against Canada. Basically, they can tariff us, we can tariff them, but we're much more smaller. So in a trade war of attrition, they'll eventually win.
Yeah.
Because they're bigger.
Unless we go elsewhere.
Well, that takes time.
I know.
Right now, I think maybe Trump is getting the message that he's going to need friends. He cannot make enemies of Canada, Mexico, and Europe, which he's done by bullying them. He's going to need their help. And if he gets smart and becomes a world leader instead of a mega leader, that might happen. But I am not crossing my fingers.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And I think we can kind of leave it there.
Yes. Without further ado, I bid you do. I'll bring up Gaza again. Gaza is a massacre zone, much worse than Ukraine, if you can believe that. Now, the
Ukraine's bad enough, but yeah, I agree. I would accept it right now. That is.
Yes.
More people are dying in Gaza than in Ukraine. Yeah.
Yeah. And the U.S. is being stupid about this. They're following Israel's lead everywhere. Even Gaza children that are accompanied by adults who are here for medical treatments. 10,000 of them, I think, were let in. 10,000 were first let into the EU or to Britain and to the UK. So the U.S. decided, well, maybe they should do the same thing. But then they decided, well, these little kids must be Hamas, so we better not let any more in yet. That's how stupid they are.
Yeah. That is stupid. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And Dave?
Without further ado, I bid you adieu. Do not forget God.